Well, good morning. Today, the Public Accounts Committee was supposed to meet to start the consideration of a non-confidence motion in this Liberal government. Rather than allow that to happen, Justin Trudeau has selfishly shut down Parliament to avoid accountability. That non-confidence motion was being moved because after 9 years of Trudeau's government and this Liberal Party running the country, Canadians have been suffering through so much misery. Families going to food banks for the first time in their lives, families with two incomes, sometimes having to go to food banks to supplement their groceries. People turning down thermostats as the Liberal carbon tax has driven up home heating and utilities. Homeless encampments in tent cities popping up all across the country. 1,400 tent encampments in Ontario alone. Violent crime rising by 50% since the Liberals took office. All of this has caused so much suffering and hardship, and Justin Trudeau kept desperately clinging to power, even as more and more of his own MPs expressed non-confidence in his government. And rather than do what was right and allow the Canadian people to have their say in a carbon tax election, Justin Trudeau has run and hid from accountability and cowardly announced his resignation rather than give Canadians the choice, putting this off till sometime in March. All this at a time of great uncertainty that Canadians are facing. We've got an incoming administration in the United States threatening our country with tariffs. We've got very poor economic news in the past few weeks. Our dollar has been sliding. And as I said, 6 consecutive quarters of per capita GDP declines. All so that the Liberal Party can sort out its internal mess. Once again, Justin Trudeau and the Liberals have proven that they put themselves ahead of the Canadian people. Nothing will change with a Liberal leadership race. I mean, if we look through some of the candidates that are being speculated about and some who have even indicated that they will likely run. Let's look at Mark Carbon Tax Carney, as he's known in political circles. He holds the position, he is currently Justin Trudeau's chair of his economic task force. He is one of the main architects of Trudeau's record. He loves the carbon tax so much that he was even fighting against any exemptions being given to Canadians struggling with home heating costs. He supports all of Justin Trudeau's policies. He was one of the key architects of this Liberal administration. Chrystia Freeland was there all along the way, applauding and cheering and voting in favor all of Justin Trudeau's policies that doubled housing costs, that drove up inflation and interest rates, that let dangerous and repeat offenders out on the streets, prioritizing the rights of criminals ahead of the rights of law-abiding Canadians. And she was even prepared to blow through her already insane $40 billion deficit guardrail right up until the moment that she was told that she would be demoted right afterwards. All of these speculated Liberal candidates will just be more of the same. Even Christy Clark, who is Premier of British Columbia, who increased the carbon tax by 200%. Canadians don't need this uncertainty and chaos as Liberal leadership contenders try to compete to show Liberal members who loves the carbon tax the most, who wants to run even bigger deficits, and who wants to plunge our country into even more misery. Canadians need a carbon tax election so we can put an end to all the misery and suffering and all the chaos that Justin Trudeau has selfishly put our country in. To consider the fact that Canadians don't even know when the new Prime Minister will be chosen or what process. This is all to be sorted out when we're just less than 2 weeks away from an incoming U.S. administration with these tariffs threatening our country. This was an incredibly selfish and self-centered move, once again proving that Liberals put themselves and their party ahead of the interests of Canada and of Canadians. And all of this could have been avoided, by the way, if Jagmeet Singh had have actually put his actions where his words were. Remember in September, he had that very theatrical display where he pretended to rip up the agreement with the Liberals, came right back into that House of Commons and voted time and time again, 8 times, voted confidence in propping up Justin Trudeau, even as more and more MPs, not just in opposition parties, but even in the Prime Minister's own party, had expressed their non-confidence. So that's why Conservatives are once again calling for Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party to please, for the sake of Canadians' well-being, for the sake of those struggling families going through so much hardship. I mean, think of 1,400 tent encampments in Ontario. Life wasn't like this in Canada before the Liberals took office, and it won't be like this in Canada after Canadians vote them out. It's not too late. They can still do the right thing. They can call a carbon tax election so Canadians can vote for a new government for strength and stability to weather our country through these challenging times.